Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming watch. I got an update for you guys on basically this last storm here that's trying to get out of the northeast. You got that ice, snow, and that rain trying to get out of the interior parts of the northeast. And then this major winter storm that's going to be impacting California and the western U.S. We have a lot to talk about. We also do have a very high risk for some dangerous and maybe even historic winter storms here, kind of like the one we just had. So we're going to dive into that. This one looking like it's going to be a bigger risk for snow here across southern New England and the I-95 corridor. I think you guys will have a bigger risk for, or a bigger chance, I should say, for some higher snowfall totals. So I'm going to kind of show you guys around of basically what's been happening. So like I said, you've been dealing with this rain and this snow that's trying to move out of the northeast. So you're talking northern Maine and soon to be all of Maine. You guys have really not been missing out on anything. I know you guys are really high up north and you're pretty much used to it, but it's definitely been rocking Maine here. And then look at this small band of some ice that's been mixing in with that rainfall. So maybe some slushy snow out there. You can see some of that falling. And then you do have a tiny pocket of rain. It hasn't been very heavy, but you do have that rainfall as well. And then you can see here, we do have this storm that's brewing here for the areas in the west coast. And you can see that there's a lot of snow, but this is mostly in the upper elevations of California. But this does go out for a few other states here in our western half of the U.S., and then in Southern California and some of Arizona, we've been dealing with some rain in the last few hours. So, it's a few sections of the kind of map here that we're going to be focusing on in today's update. Excuse me, but let me show you the track for this low pressure here. So we got the low pressure that's going to soon be kind of like this. I'm just going to start it out like this. And it's going to basically be tracking like this. And then it's going to move through the Northeast and New England. But you're going to see major impacts in the Central Plains. I think you guys are definitely going to get hit hard, at least by the system, but we're definitely going to have a few systems that are going to be riding the jet stream in the next few weeks, but we're really going to be focusing on today, the next few days, and then eventually the next week. So we're going to move on now to the current alerts that we have. So you can see that right now you've been dealing with a very active day. You still have an active day even after your storm system has almost completely moved out. But let me show you guys what basically all these alerts out here. So we still have blizzard warnings that are in effect. This blizzard warning is actually, it's obviously not the same one because these areas have the blizzard warning up for a different system. But we've been dealing with blizzard warnings in different parts of the country for a few days straight. So, we're definitely having consistent blizzard conditions in many areas. But look at this winter storm warning. This goes out for a lot of California. I mean, I'll tell you, this is almost all of Northern California, Central California, upper elevations, you name it. I mean, there's maybe a little bit less than 3/4 of all the counties here in California that are under this winter storm warning. You have a high wind warning here in Southern California too. This goes out for a few counties, so you're gonna have those gusty winds. I'm not sure if I included that in this update because I set this up earlier, but maybe you'll check that out mid-update. And then we do have this wind chill advisory. Now, this is definitely something we're definitely going to have to talk about a lot because, one, you have it for, many states, and this goes out for all of many states. But, two, the wind chills are going to be crazy. I'll tell you that. And, it's going to get very cold that it's going to be dangerous just to be outside. So you're really going to want to stay inside. You should stay inside even if you're not even watching this update. But once we discuss this, you should really kind of know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. But look at this, North Dakota. Every single county in North Dakota is included in this wind chill advisory. So, North Dakota, every single county. I don't care if you're closest to Montana, because Montana's a little. There's a few counties away from being free from this risk. You got all of you are included in this risk for dangerous wind chills. South Dakota, same thing for you guys. It's definitely going to be every county in South Dakota. So, I would say all of the Dakotas is where you're going to have the main threat. But look at Montana too. I mean, you are missing out on like 4 counties here in Montana that haven't been included in this wind chill advisory yet. But I mean, I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service expanded this into later all of Montana and then some more of Idaho. So it's a huge area. And Montana's pretty similar to Minnesota. You can see Minnesota is a few counties away from being completely coded in this risk. I also want to just go a little bit farther southeast and just briefly mention we do have a dense fog advisory that does go out for the Gulf coastal areas. So I think this does, if I'm not mistaken, go out for New Orleans, but I think that if it isn't already out for New Orleans, I think it's definitely going to expand into the city, but in the next few hours. Northern Florida, not quite the Panhandle, but you got Northern Florida in this risk as well. So it's going to be pretty foggy out there for the southeast, but should be clearing up by tomorrow. And then, we also do have this wind chill warning, which I haven't mentioned yet. Goes out for Montana. I mean, a few counties of Montana, some, like maybe 4 counties in northwestern South Dakota, and then a few counties in northern Nebraska. So that's pretty much all the alerts. I just want to mention the last alert. You do have a winter weather advisory. Goes out for northern Maine and a lot of New York State, all of Massachusetts. I think this might be all of Connecticut, and then a lot of southern New Hampshire and Vermont. So we're going to start out here with the Northeast. So this is basically why you're having these winter weather advisories out. So you've been dealing with a lot of snow, mainly offshore. So, it's pretty rare to have cold temperatures onshore because you definitely have the cold there. You've had cold temperatures kind of dipping into the lower 30s and, a few areas up north in the 20s, but you've been having that cold air pushing in the direction my arrows are going to. So you've got 2 sections here in New York State, also including some of Pennsylvania, and then upstate New York. I think that's where you're going to see the coldest temperatures. So low temperatures are definitely going to be likely here. But then if you get a little bit further south to the I-95 corridor area, I think you're going to see those warmer temperatures. So the border for your warm air and your cold air is kind of where my line is. So you have cold up here because you have the cold front dipping down into parts of New York State, but then you have the warm front here that's trying to bump itself back up north, but because you're having cold air just very strong, it's forcing this warm air to go out east, and so the coastal areas are warm. So that's why I'm saying it's pretty rare to have this snow offshore, because you're having this warm air forced to head east. So you might see some warmer temperatures here across the coastal areas of the Northeast, so Long Island, maybe New York City, New Jersey, and Delaware, and that pretty much area. So we're going to now break this down, the last piece of energy from the system that's left over. But here we go. So you got snow that's moving just offshore of Boston. A few, maybe a few sleet showers out there around. So the morning hours of this was. Oh, so this was the morning hours today. So you had snow showers that have just made it offshore of Boston. Skip ahead to where we are now. I just had a little confusion there. And then this is 8 p.m. You're getting another piece of energy that's left over that kind of broke apart from the main system that we had yesterday. And this is going to be a lot stronger. You actually have its own low pressure system that's actually formed. So it's almost like a little storm system here. So it could be a little snowstorm for you guys from northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and then pretty much all of Maine. So I would say you guys aren't going to get more than like 3 inches of snow, maybe 4 or 5, but nothing too major. It's not anything that you would want if you are a big winter weather fan out there. And then you do get this piece of energy that does deliver some rain to New York State. So you might see some heavy rain possibly. I would say more or less in the southern part of New York. So not including New York City, but like New York State and not the city. So you get what I mean. But you do get some freezing rain that's going to move in. Maybe southern Vermont, New Hampshire, around 10 p.m. tonight. So the overnight hours of tonight, you'll have some rain and some freezing rain mixing together here in the Boston area, and once the storm moves out. And then on the backside of this, you'll have cold air, but it's going to be dry. So it's going to be mainly dry here. I'll write it in for you guys. So I'll kind of break the northeast down here. So you're going to have dry conditions out here, and you're going to have high pressure. It's probably going to be southwest of Indiana. I would say that's where you're going to have that high pressure. So I'll write it in here. So you'll have high pressure that'll be in place around this area here until your low pressure just kicks it out. And then you'll have warmer temperatures return. And then maybe your cold front will try and make it back. But this is basically the line of for the cold front, but I think it might come back once this next low pressure system, or we could say winter storm now, when that comes back. So so you're gonna have cold and dry conditions by tomorrow morning, and then early morning tomorrow as well. You may get some maybe ocean effect snow here off the coast of Massachusetts. It's pretty rare to see that. It's not crazy rare, but you could have a small chance for maybe some ocean effect snow out there. But that's really just from the backside of the system, and that will move out pretty shortly, but nothing more than an inch. I don't even want to break down any possible snowfall total from that system. So I'm thinking maybe a little bit before noon to 12:30 is where you're going to see that chance for maybe some snow showers to move through. We're going to move to the western U.S. So this is basically the update on your storm that's brewing here for you guys in the western U.S. And we're going to break this down. So this was 8 a.m. this morning, and you have mainly all snow. I think this was actually all snow for every area in the U.S. I think offshore, though, you've been dealing with a little bit more rain. But we'll skip ahead to where we are now, which is just after 8. And you can see that rain has made it onshore. So the coastal areas of California, I think you guys are going to have very gusty winds, but you're also going to have some strong rainstorm. That's definitely going to move ashore. I think you're definitely going to have strong bands of heavy rain. But I think that it's mainly going to be snow for California and the western U.S. But look at this. It's really scattered out here. I mean, this is pretty weird. You've had a lot of snow is going to be in Northern California. I think it's mostly, if you're looking for snow in California, I think you would mostly be aiming for Northern California. So if I were to draw a line dividing the state in two, I think there would be snow in this section here. So section number 1, we'll call it. Section number 2, I think you'd still might have a small chance for maybe some scattered snow showers, but it's mainly going to be these rain showers here that are going to be driving through Southern California and then soon to be the Southwest. So I think the cold air is definitely in place. I think it's just going to stay a little bit farther north, and it's going to kind of build this ridge here to keep this warm air down south. So you're gonna have that means you're gonna have pretty cold temperatures up north, but then down south you're gonna have above normal temperatures. So it's gonna be all snow in this area here. So let me clear my screen again so I can show you basically what's gonna happen. And you can see that the snow does continue staying north. You get a little bit of rain though that could move through that area, section number 1 I called it. And then you can see that, like I said, you might have a few possible snow showers that can move through Southern California, but I think it's really just showing like it's going to be all rain. But you do have a band of very heavy snow that's definitely going to move through. There's definitely going to be one band. We don't know how many, but it's almost definitely going to be one. It's going to be at least one band. So we're going to continue. So this is 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning, and you're going to wake up to very heavy snow for pretty much the whole state. I wouldn't include this area here of southwestern California, but I would say that it's going to snow at least once in pretty much this whole area I've circled here. But this is just going to continue pushing towards the Rockies. Once it gets to the Rockies, you're going to have a very strong band of very heavy snow, and it's going to dump feet of snow to the Rockies right here. So, we'll continue watching this, and it does, but watch as this just continues on and gets stronger. And you have two lines here of very heavy rain that's going to be moving through. Let me get rid of the sounding. But, I mean, it's staying all snow for Nevada, and then Central California and the upper elevations, so the mountains of California. You guys are going to get rocked with that snow. I know none of you are living in the mountains, obviously, but, it's the mountain regions of California are definitely going to get the most snow out of this. There's no doubt about that. But watch as this kind of spins around. When you see a rotating low pressure system like this, that means that that this is very strong. Even though it's only 1,006 millibars, I think that is. It is rotating in a counterclockwise direction. So, it's definitely, when you see rotation, with the precipitation from the system, that's definitely a sign of strength, because it's also moving on its own path and not just moving around in one circle. So we're going to continue this. So this is throughout the day. I think this is Sunday. And then you can see that you do get a little bit of rain here that's going to show up maybe in the western areas of Arizona. But we don't have any model run time left. But, I just want to let you guys know it's going to be very windy, but you're also going to have at least one band of very heavy snow in California. I don't know where you're living, but you're definitely going to get, at least one band of snowfall. So we're just going to talk about what's been happening with the storm as of now. So we have power outages already. It's not like the storm hasn't started yet. It's definitely started. But we're not close to halfway yet, but we're definitely on start for this system. So let's start in Northern California. So this is basically, like you probably know, this is the power outage map. So this is a county in northwestern California. You have Del Norte. I really don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm going to try my best here. But you have 1,787 power outages out here. So over 1,500 customers without power here in Del Norte. So, in the northern areas of California, even though these counties aren't shaded in this little bar here for the percentage of outages, but I think it's going to be all in Northern California where you're going to see the most power outages from the system. So kind of like the same area as what I drew, like section 1, I think this was called, and I drew a line here. So we're going to write it again. This is section 1. You're going to see a lot more power outages in Northern California than Southern California. But that definitely does not mean that you want to say that Southern California is barely going to get any power outages. That is not true. They are going to get a lot. I mean, I think all the California counties are definitely going to get power outages. I'm just not sure on, how much exactly. But I mean, so this is Shasta, California. You have 57,164 out. Oh, that's tracked. Out, you have 379. So, yeah. So, this is in Shasta. Again, you're going to have those power outages. They're still continuing to come out, and they're not going to get any better. I know crews are still working on this. I think the early power outages might save you guys a little bit of time if you're in California and you don't have any power right now. I think that from now on, if you have power now, I think that you'll probably continue having power throughout the system, but you're always going to have that risk for power outages throughout the entire system. And then this is in Humboldt. I really don't know how to. I mean, you guys can read that if you know how to read that, but I'll tell you, I don't know how to read this. But you do have a little bit over 3,500 customers out. So this is a county in the northwestern coast of California. This is a county just south of it. This is Mendocino. And you have just over 2,500 customers out of power. So, in general, the whole state of California is definitely going to be having this risk for power outages throughout the whole duration of the storm, but it's mainly going to be in Northern California. We'll go to this one county here in the coastal areas of Central California. This is San Mateo, and you have just under 14,500 customers without power. So a very active day for San Mateo here when it comes to power outages. So, you're definitely going to see that widespread risk for power outages. I'm just not really sure how much. But we're going to definitely take a look at, how many power outages have been reported by tomorrow. So in tomorrow's update, we'll definitely continue taking a look at this. So this is going to be the last part of the update, which is basically we're going to be comparing the European model and the GFS model for your major snowstorms ahead. So I might run out of video time because I think my screen recorder is limited to like 30 minutes of screen recording time. So if I run out, I might not be able to fit in the GFS as well. We'll just take a look at that in the next update, but we'll just make sure that we can discuss at least the European model. So you could see that you have your low pressure system here from your last storm, and then this is going to move out. But watch quickly on behind it. This is the remains of your system that's brewing here for California. Let me put this back. We are not there. Okay, so watch as... Sorry, guys. Alright, here we go. So watch as the remains of this. Watch as this quickly weakens, but then re-intensifies and forms this massive, possible severe weather outbreak. It's definitely possible here for eastern and northeastern Texas, Oklahoma, the Central Plains, looking like northern Arkansas getting another possible severe weather event. This one looking like it's going to be dangerous. I think it's going to stay absolutely all rain for a lot of the U.S. So the north central is not going to be cold enough. This warm front's going to form a ridge here, meaning that you're going to have well above normal temperatures, a lot farther north than they should be. So, meaning that like southern Minnesota is going to be in like the 30s and 40s. It is not supposed to be that cold, that warm. And then this moves into the northeast, but because the northeast is still not quite in this warm front, you might get some snow and frozen precipitation out of this. But then on the backside, as this warm air moves with this system, you get some very heavy snow that's going to move in, to Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. And then it's looking like a nasty winter storm for you guys in pretty much all of Michigan. It's going to be rain, snow, and then maybe a little mix in between for all of the state here. But then we're going to move this into the northeast. We're not going to discuss any time frames for this because this would actually be Tuesday. You might get some snow that could move through New York City, Long Island, and the interior parts of the northeast. But on the backside of this, as your warm continues on its path northeast, you're going to get well above average temperatures here. That's going to be moving into Long Island here. So you may get it's going to be very quick. You may get a few hours with above normal temperatures, but soon that cold air is just going to fall south again. And then you get a pretty bad wintry mix here. A heavy pocket of wintry mix for Long Island, New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then staying all snow for Boston. I think it's going to be a very large and dangerous snow event for Boston, Massachusetts, and the area around it. So we're going to look at the snowfall totals. Actually, let me wait because I think we have another system behind this that we need to talk about. So then that's going to move out by Wednesday. So, this is Wednesday next week, I think. So for the Northeast, this enters the Northeast on Monday, and this takes like 3 days to get out of the Northeast. And finally, by midday to late Wednesday is when you start getting some drier conditions out. But then here comes another system, and you get more rain for the Southeast. But then watch as this continues moving out. But look how high north that the European model wants to show this warm front's going to go. This is going into Maine. So let's click on sounding here. Let's just click on sounding here. Let me get it. 1 second, guys. Alright, I don't know if I can get sounding here. But, I mean, you're going to have you're going to have far above normal temperatures here in the Northeast with this system. I mean, you've got the warm front, again, the warm front is in Maine. I mean, that means that in Pennsylvania, New York City, Long Island, and New Jersey, your temperatures could get into the 60s and maybe even the 70s again. So this could be a crazy warm front here. So it's going to be all snow for just the areas of Maine, maybe New Hampshire and Vermont getting a wintry mix. With these systems, they usually get a very dangerous winter storm, or snowstorm. But this is saying at most a wintry mix. And on the backside of this, you might get some colder air that will move in, and maybe if it moves in fast enough, you'll get some snow. We just have to see here, but that moves out, and then that's pretty much it. So, we're going to take a look quickly at what the European wants to say for the snowfall totals out 240 hours. So, if I can get that here for you guys, 1 second. So, so we're going to take a look at this. 1 second, this is just loading. Okay, so we're going to put this out 240 hours. So this is all the way out until Thursday of, I don't know. I don't think this is Thursday. This might be Thursday of next week. But look, you can definitely see that the rounds of snowstorms are definitely going to cause snow to pile up here. you could see up to like 5 inches of snow from this next system, I would say, or not this next system, but the system that's going to be closest to Thursday, I think, of next week. This could get. Sorry, guys, we ran out of screen recording time. My screen recorder has a limit unless you upgrade, which costs money. So that's gonna wrap up the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, like, share, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Catch you guys in the next update. So we'll continue watching these next upcoming winter storms, and we'll see if we still have a chance to give the Northeast one last taste of winter.